What is stopping Bernie Sanders from just stepping down now?
Well, not very much at all. And in fact, we heard a speech from candidate Bernie Sanders overnight where he was speaking to his supporters, and oddly he didn't mention the fact that there'd just been 3 primaries, and he hasn't been, his media outreach has stopped asking for donations. Now, his campaign insiders say that he's now assessing his entire run. So we've just had 3 more primaries. Senator former Vice President Joe Biden won all of them. It's now almost mathematically impossible for Sanders to win the Democratic nomination. So we're starting to really see this 2020 presidential election lay itself out. And of course, in these recent weeks, the entire election landscape has changed. President Trump was going into this election thinking he had a booming economy and that he was going to run against some leftie who he could target as a socialist. Well, neither of those things exist anymore. And given the way that the Trump administration has handled this coronavirus crisis, it may just well become a referendum on that point alone, because the president has been very slow to accept the reality.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of leaders worldwide that have been doing that, and now they're coming in tough now. Scott Morrison the same, Boris Johnson the same, everyone realising that this could well and truly get out of hand. They're shutting borders, and now we've had the news overnight, particularly from Canada, that border is going to close for all non-essential travel between the US and Canada. I mean, these are pretty significant moves now, aren't they? And remembering that the Eurozone's done the same thing.
Well, that's right. So now we have to see what the further rollout is going to be. And we know that, for example, in Northern California, around San Francisco, there's about 9 million people who have been told to shelter in place. And New York City is considering a similar move. And as we know, we've got Navy hospital ships slowly making their way, or a hospital ship slowly making its way to New York. So we're starting to see these measures roll out further in America. But honestly, the American public knows it's too little, too late. I mean, the president was telling them earlier this month that the virus is very mild, it's not much different to the flu, we've got it well under control, it's already going away. And then he gave an address to the nation, a televised address to the nation, where he got several facts wrong. So the public's confidence in the government's handling of this has really been shaken. And like I said, you can well imagine how this may impact on the election. And let's not forget, Democrats are turning out in massive numbers to vote in their primaries. If you look at Michigan, back 4 years ago, 1.2 million people voted in the primaries. This year, it's more than 1.5 million. And where these people are coming from, and they're voting for Biden, is in the suburbs, which is what President Trump captured in 2016. So the entire landscape of this election has been completely upended.
Yep, I think you're definitely right about that. Michael, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us as always.